rising up. You don't really know I shine. Me, I got something that I need to prove. I cannot lose, nah. Everything I do that really is news. You look confused, why? You are what you choosing to do. Me, I've been making the moves, paying my dues, getting this done with the fam. Y'all know that I am the dude. Bend that low, hit that high, got that hustle, got that drive. One more time, best alive. I want it all, everything mine.
Welcome back to the football forecast. It's the best day of the week. It's football Sunday. We've got a huge slate today, so we got to jump into it because I don't have much time. And I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a warning because my whole computer situation earlier in the week, I'm going to leave that alone because I've been pretty pissed and been working my ass off. I've done double the work, did all the videos, all the editing, lost everything. Anyways, long story short, I don't have much time to put this out. So, got to record it. Basically, send it out raw. So, not going to be the prettiest video, but the information's going to be there, okay? So, without further delay, let's get right into the slate.
There ain't nothing better than the West Side, that's right. We on the map, we get the bag and they run it back. And I'm like, ooh, we on the map, we get the bag and they run it back. And I'm like, ooh.
Alright, so this is going to be a different type of episode than we've had so far, and that was, honestly, that was by design, because I wasn't going to be putting out picks when we haven't seen a single down of football played yet. So, like I said, I wanted to give it at least 2 weeks before I got on here and put my picks out publicly. I am not encouraging you to follow my bets, although I will say if you're going to bet, make sure that you do the majority of your bets straight. Just bet them straight. Okay, we got 15 games to pick. Let's get into it. First up, we got the Steelers at home against the Chargers. And to be honest with you, I don't think that the Steelers should be the ones favored in this game at all. They really haven't displayed any ability to score at all. And they've leaned heavily on the defense. On that side of the football, I think that them and the Chargers are evenly matched. Where I don't think that they're evenly matched is the fact that the Chargers are healthy on offense. Their best weapons are on the field for the most part. I mean, they did lose DJ Chark to IR a long time ago. But for the most part, this team is healthy on offense. Defensively, I think that they're sound. Now, the only advantage that I'm giving to the Steelers really is being at home. But I give the quarterback edge to the Chargers. I give the scoring edge to the Chargers. The running game edge. The coaching. Sorry, I love Tomlin. I really do. I'm going to take the money line, and I'm also going to back that up with the plus 2.5 number. I think that the wrong team's favored here. The Colts versus Bears, honestly, this game's sloppy, and that's kind of partially the reason that I'm taking the money line here with the Bears as well. It's a slight edge. The Colts are favored by 1.5 points. Again, I think that slight edge is only because they're at home. To me, the biggest difference in this game is by far the defense. The Colts have now been gutted by multiple teams, and the worst part about it is last week they were playing the Packers without Jordan Love. They knew that the Packers were going to be a run-heavy offense, and they still did nothing about it. Even though the Bears haven't displayed that they are a running team at all, it seems like they're just willing to let Caleb Williams drop back in the pocket and sink or swim. I don't really care about that. I don't think that this game is going to be a high-scoring game. I do think that this is going to be Caleb Williams' breakout game, though. Take that for what it's worth. A breakout game for him would be 180 yards, a touchdown, and 1 pick, and only 3 sacks. Like, that would be a breakout game for Caleb Williams, to be honest with you. The only edge that I really have in this game for the Colts is them being at home. And the only edge that I have for the Bears, which to me is the biggest deal, the Bears have a sneaky good defense. They closed out last season #1 in scoring over the last 7 to 10 weeks, somewhere in that range. Anthony Richardson has shown so far that he's careless with the football, so because of that, I like the Bears to win this. Defense travels. The Houston Texans are laying 1.5 on the road. To me, that tells me everything that I need to know. When two 2-0 teams match up, and one of those 2-0 teams are at home, getting 1.5, It's not a good sign. The Vikings were my number one surprise 2-0 team, and for good reason. They're banged up. Sam Darnold hasn't had a career anywhere that was, worth taking a second look at. So now we've seen him in action twice. I think that Minnesota's coming off of a colossal victory over the 49ers. I think that they threw the whole kitchen sink at the 49ers. I think that this is a really bad fallback spot for them to have C.J. Stroud and this explosive offense coming into town. I think that the Texans are way too explosive on offense for the Vikings to be able to deal with. I respect the defense. I respect the whole everything that they're doing in Minnesota. I already put up Kevin O'Connell as my early season coach of the year. But fact of the matter is, they're not going to be able to keep up with the Texans. If the Texans are able to have any type of success offensively, Minnesota just simply cannot keep up with them. And I do think the Vikings are a little bit fraudulent. They obviously beat the Giants. The Giants are terrible, we all know that. But then they had the advantage of taking on the 49ers. I think their wheels were a little bit flat going into that game. They're obviously banged up. They don't have their superstar. Debo's kind of playing between positions right now, and Ayuk wasn't at camp, was late really getting back in the groove with the team. I think that they got a 49ers team that was a little banged up and a little out of sync. So there's a little bit of an asterisk on the Vikings. This is really their prove-it game. The Browns are at home against the Giants, and this is my next lock. And it's not the Browns, okay? The Giants on the road are getting 6.5 points against this Cleveland offense, who has not shown any ability to score or do anything productive on offense whatsoever. Because of that alone, I don't think the Browns should be laying 6.5 points to anybody. I don't care if it's the Giants or the Panthers or the Broncos. I do not care. The Browns simply should not be laying 6.5 points against anybody. Now, the Giants have proven to be a pass-heavy team, which doesn't bode well because they don't do a great job of protecting Daniel Jones, and the Cleveland Browns have a serious pass rush, and they also have 2 shutdown corners. I don't think that Malik Neighbors is able to repeat his performance from last week. Side note, I think Wan'Dale Robinson has a lot of value in this game, being in the slot. But simply put, I don't like either one of these teams. To be honest with you, this is a close your eyes and throw a dart at the board and see where it lands, because both these teams look completely inept on offense. The Browns definitely have the defensive edge. They've got the home edge. All of that is the sole reason that they are 6.5 point favorites. They shouldn't be laying that much to anybody. The next one is probably my favorite money line play of the week. The Eagles are going on the road to the Saints. Obviously, the Saints are the favorite here. Everybody's riding the hot hand. I think that the undefeated run for the Saints stops here. I think that the dominance stops here. The Eagles have been gutted defensively, both on the ground and through the air, which, again, does not look good on paper. It's just the way that the Eagles lost against the Falcons on Monday night. Primetime spot for the whole world to see. I don't think anybody's going to be looking past the Saints now that they went into Jerry World and beat the dog shit out of the Cowboys on their own turf. Philly's not looking past that. Honestly, I think everybody goes wild, to be honest with you. I could see this getting ugly. I believe the Saints are coming back to earth with this one. The next matchup, the Buccaneers are at home hosting the Broncos. They're laying 6.5 points. This Broncos team is definitely 3 touchdowns better than the Broncos if they wanted to be. However, they're already 2-0. I really don't see a need for them to kind of push their luck with some of their health issues. This is a Buccaneers team that has 7 defensive players on the injury report this week, and that doesn't include all the guys banged up on offense. Primarily that being Rachaad White. I don't really think that Rachaad White has a lot of usage in this game other than being a decoy. I can see the Buccaneers scoring at will, but just like Caleb Williams, I think that only because the matchup that he's got this week, I think Bo Nix could put up some pretty decent numbers against this really porous and beat-up Buccaneers defense. They're 2-0. Last week, the Buccaneers played the Lions. They had to play all their best players. They had to have their dogs on the football field to win that game. I think that this is a spot where they come back home, they get some rest, They kind of put some guys on a snap count. Although I think the Buccaneers are going to win, I can see the Broncos kind of backdooring that 6.5 number. The next game, the Titans are at home hosting the Packers. The Titans are laying 3 points. We're going to call it 2.5 because the number actually has them at minus 105. That minus 105 number is telling you that it's pretty close to going down. They're starting to not believe in that minus 3 number, so let's call it minus 2.5. I don't know if the Titans win this game at all. This is one of the games that I'm not confident in. I don't have a good feel here. The Packers are opportunistic on defense. They're not great on defense. At least they haven't been so far this season. They have gotten better. They've definitely gotten better. But the Packers are going to lean heavily on the running game, and that's something that the Titans really do well. They're underrated. Actually, they're underrated in the passing game as well. I think that the only real edge that I give here to Tennessee, other than being at home, is that they also have a do-it-all guy in Tony Pollard, and I think that Tony Pollard could see just a massive, massive load. When the head coach for the Tennessee Titans come onto the football field and asked Will Levis, and you could see his lips plain as day on the camera, say, "What the fuck are you doing?" talking to Will Levis. I think that there was some serious ass chewing this week, and I guarantee you that Levis takes better care of the football. So, I like the Titans by a field goal here. In no other situation would I ever do this, but the Raiders are laying 6.5 points at home against the Panthers. 2 things here. Well, actually, 3. Number 1, the Raiders are the better football team, no doubt about it, but they don't really score that much. Number 2, this is one of those lines where they're expecting you to take a big number just because of how bad the Panthers are. But what people aren't paying attention to is that the Raiders really aren't that effective on the offensive side of the ball. They really shouldn't be laying anything more than 3.5 or 4.5 ever. So as bad as the Panthers are, I don't really believe in this Raiders offense, and their defense has really underperformed as well. Third point, Andy Dalton just got the nod to become the starting quarterback for the Panthers team. He hasn't had a start in a long time. I guarantee you see a little bit of red rifle magic there. Something to take in teams when they have head coaching changes or quarterback changes mid-season. So something tells me that Andy Dalton could have a Joe Flacco type of revive his career type of moment, because honestly for him, it's now or never. He said it himself, he never expected to start a football game again. I think the red rifle shows you what he can really do, kind of like he did back in the Cincinnati days. The Dolphins are going on the road to Seattle. Seattle's laying 4.5 in this football game. The same reasoning that I just gave for the Panthers, I could give here for the Dolphins, but I'm not going to. And the reason being is that the Seahawks have shown an ability to score, and if this was going to be some sort of really ugly, nasty type of game, I would definitely be taking the Dolphins here. If the Dolphins had a better option other than Skylar Thompson, I would be taking them here. If the Dolphins had a healthy running back room, I would be taking them here. New England's defense is way better than the Dolphins' defense is, and Seattle put up about 23 in overtime. I think when that game was said and done, I think it was 23. You could very easily translate that to about 30 points against this Dolphins team if you wanted to really speak generically, analyzing numbers. So hypothetically speaking, I don't think the Dolphins are going to sniff 30 against this pretty stingy Seahawks defense. So I think the Seahawks are underrated. Now the 4.5 number is tricky because that means they have to win by basically a touchdown. A field goal win does you no good. So I really don't expect a dogfight low end. I know that the Dolphins just got embarrassed on primetime as well. Their defense should play a little bit better. But either way, I just think that the Seahawks are healthier. They're more stable. And I trust Geno Smith, and I like them at home. The Cardinals are getting 3 points at home against the Lions. I don't like this at all. The Cardinals' passing game has been on absolute fire. The Lions can't stop the pass at all. They've been in a shootout every game that they've been in and given up, if not 300, close to it in both of those games. I do think that they'll be able to run just a little bit against this Cardinals team, but if the Buffalo Bills game showed us anything, is that their defense can fall apart pretty quick. If there was any game this week that I would lean towards the over. It would probably be in this one. The Cardinals are actually favored by 3, but the odds on that are -115, which tells me that the odds of that bumping up to 3.5 are pretty good. I think for the Cardinals to be getting 3.5 points at home, I think that that's pretty disrespectful. I also think that Kyler Murray has a huge day. I think that this is a week again where Arizona puts a lot of passing highlights on tape. And for what it's worth, I really like the money line here as well. The Ravens are going on the road to the Cowboys. The Cowboys just got their ass kicked at home. And typically I would really bet pretty heavy on them to get a bounce back. But they're also going against a team in the Ravens who've had 2 massive disappointments the first 2 weeks. I think the Baltimore Ravens are more talented. I think that even though the Cowboys' offensive line and their defense has underperformed, I expect them to start getting better. I just don't think that they have anyone that can make up for the matchup problem that is Lamar Jackson. Unless Micah Parsons has a massive day or their linebacker play gets a little bit better, this is pretty much a pick'em game. The Cowboys are getting a point at home. It's pretty much a pick'em game. I think the Ravens are a little bit hungrier than the Cowboys, and that's really just what my gut's telling me. The 49ers going on the road to the Rams, and they're a 6.5 point favorite. For obvious reasons, the Rams have lost their best 2 weapons on offense. The 49ers have looked pretty rough on defense. Even there were some moments in the Jets game where, honestly, there were opportunities for the Jets to start getting some momentum going, but there were drop balls or penalties or just something not quite going their way. And I think that if the 49ers played the Jets this week or next week, I think that game's totally different. The good news is that the Rams should be able to run the ball, and they're going to have to rely on that a little bit because obviously they don't have Kupp or Puka. And even though I really like Demarcus Robinson and Tyler Johnson and Kobe Parkinson to get some action because the 49ers do have some holes in their defense, frankly, the 49ers just lost to the Vikings. And I know that they're on the road again, and that's not really a good sign, but they're not worse than the Vikings. This is a Super Bowl contending team with Super Bowl expectations. It's Super Bowl or bust for them. So you got to expect the 49ers to bounce back right here. The Falcons are at home. They're hosting the Chiefs. The Falcons just got a massive, just miracle win on the road in Philadelphia. They're back home against the world #1 ranked football team. I'm going to do it again. They're in primetime again, which I don't love because Patrick Mahomes, if anybody is guaranteed to show up, it's Patrick Mahomes. What worries me, though, is that the best part of this Falcons defense is their secondary, and that's really not saying much, and they've got a pretty damn good pass rush, too. It's really kind of a bad matchup for the Chiefs. That tasted terrible coming out of my mouth. There's no bad matchup for the Chiefs. They're looking to three-peat for a reason, so. Although that sounds really bad coming out, I think the Falcons will be able to run against this team a little bit. Kirk Cousins and the weapons kind of seem like they're getting on the same page a little bit. Hollywood Brown's not coming back anytime soon. They just lost Pacheco. Although I really, really like Kareem Hunt. He just got added this week. Carson Steele, are we really? Are we really? I think the Falcons win here. For what it's worth, the Falcons are only getting 2.5 points in this matchup. I like that number to be over 3.5, truthfully, to feel good about it. The 2.5 number's weird to me because basically you need something fluky to happen, like more field goals than normal or a safety or a missed extra point or something. That 2-point win is a very strange number. The Bills are at home against the Jaguars. This is a lock for me for multiple reasons. It's tough to play in Buffalo. Josh Allen is playing like an absolute maniac. James Cook is running the shit out of the football. The Jaguars just look completely out of sync, offensively, defensively, just the whole 9 yards. They really don't look good right now. The Bills are laying 5.5. If this was something like any higher than that, like 7.5 or 8.5, I'd probably pump the brakes a little bit on this. but I probably wouldn't bet for them to have another 30-point blowout again. And if you take away the first 2 quarters the Bills had against Arizona, they would have won that fucking game by 30. So I don't know if this is quite a 30-point dominant performance, but it's another primetime game for the Bills. But the Bills, by 2 field goals or a touchdown, with the benefit of maybe the possibility of a missed extra point. I mean, the 5.5 number, that's a really solid number to me. The Bills look phenomenal, to be honest with you. And aside from the Saints, who I think could potentially come back down to earth a little bit, the Bills surprisingly, that shocked the shit out of me that they look like the best team in football. Man, this is the biggest money line play of the week. And I like the Bengals. But the Commanders, they can do things to this Bengals defense that they're just not good at stopping. Also, the Bengals are at home coming off of a nail-biter against the Chiefs. I think that they blew their wad in Kansas City. I don't know how much gas they have left in the tank. It's similar to the 49ers coming off of the Jets game and then going into Minnesota. I think that it's similar to the Ravens being in that dogfight with the Chiefs week 1. They go home, get some rest. They're hosting the Raiders. I could see the Bengals taking it easy. And to be honest with you, the Bengals defense is probably one of the worst 3 defenses in the NFL. They don't look good against the run or the pass. And when you have a dynamic quarterback like Jaden Daniels who spreads the ball around, you don't know. He's a complete wild card. You don't know where the ball's going to go. But he has taken care of the football. And for the most part, they've ran the ball well. They've got a 2-headed monster with Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler, which I also like. They can keep both their backs fresh. The Bengals offense has been out of sorts. I like a shootout here. The Bengals are laying 7.5 points with this defense. I think the books are really cooking this up to get people to bite. They always seem to play the Chiefs good. They seem to have their number a little bit. But if there's anything I know about the Bengals, they play up and down. And it's kind of one of those things where, like, Jane Daniels is too young and dumb to care or know any different. The kid's just going to go out there and try to ball. So I like the Commanders on the road. Plus 7.5. This is also my biggest money line play. And that's it. That's all the games on the slate for this weekend. Hope everybody has a hell of a weekend. I hope that you rob Vegas blind, okay? Make smart bets. Make sure that you make well-informed bets. But at the end of the day, just win, baby.
How you play the game with the people that writing the rules. Ain't the fame that I'm after when paying the dues. I've been through the pain that's reflected in the attitude. Might be winning now, but the thing is that I had to lose. So go and tell me what you really want to do. And lonely at the top, cause there ain't a lot of room. Ain't no other option, that's all I ever knew. So I'ma get it poppin', you know how I'ma do. I've been down through the blood and the sweat. Guarantee you can know I'm a threat. I've been down through the blood and the sweat. And I ain't close to being done yet.